meaningful years of your existence. But you must approach them with the right perspective. You must fundamentally grasp what truly matters now and what must simply be discarded. This understanding is the greatest gift these 94 years have given me, knowing what is worth fighting for and what you should just let go of entirely. So, pour yourself a cup of coffee, find a comfortable seat, and allow me to tell you what I've learned. Let me tell you what I wish I had known back when I was exactly your age, looking back at my own 50 seconds. You know, when I reflect on my 50 seconds, I recall a period of relentless activity. This was the 1,980 seconds. Berkshire Hathaway was expanding rapidly. We were aggressively pursuing acquisitions. I was routinely reading annual reports until midnight, constantly traveling, holding meetings with CEOs, just perpetually moving. And I genuinely loved it. I really did. I still do, actually. I continue to go to the office every single day. I can't help myself. But if I'm going to be honest with you, and I always strive to be, I missed certain things. I missed crucial time with my children. I missed moments that, once they were gone, became irretrievable. My daughter Susie mentioned to me years later that she wished I had been around more often. Not all the time, she clarified, but just more available for the small, everyday occurrences. The school plays, the simple conversations around the dinner table. And you know what? She was absolutely correct. The annual reports, they would have been waiting for me the next morning. The business deals, they could have waited a day or two, but those moments with my kids, they were gone. Just gone. So, that's the primary message I want to convey. If you are in your 50 seconds or 60 seconds today, please do not replicate that error. Don't become so consumed by the building, by the accumulating, by the simple fact of the doing, that you completely forget the fundamental act of being. Because I promise you this, 3 decades from now, you won't remember the extra hours you logged. You won't remember the exact deals you closed or the precise amount of money you managed to save. But you will remember the time you devoted to the people you love, the trips you took, the heartfelt conversations you shared, the moments where you were truly present. That is what anchors in your memory. The math still works in your favor. Now, let's shift gears and address finances for a moment, because I realize this is likely a key reason you're interested. You want to understand the appropriate management of your money at this stage of life. And that is an excellent, highly relevant question. You see, a pervasive belief is that once you reach 50 or 60, it's simply too late. Too late to establish serious wealth. Too late to start investing effectively. Too late to fundamentally alter your financial trajectory. But that conventional wisdom is profoundly mistaken. Let me illustrate this with concrete figures. If you are 55 years old right now and possess, say, $100,000 in savings, and you place that sum into a straightforward index fund that yields an average annual return of 10%, which is historically what the S&P 500 has produced, by the time you reach 75, that initial $100,000 will have grown to approximately $670,000. Now, if you are also able to save and invest an additional $500 per month throughout those 20 years, your total accumulation climbs to over $1 million. $1 million, starting at 55 with just $100,000 and $500 monthly contributions. The arithmetic still holds true. Compounding does not cease its exponential work just because you started later in life. It doesn't factor in your age. It just works. I've always described compounding as being akin to rolling a snowball down a hill. The longer the hill, the larger the snowball grows. Well, if you are 55 or 60, you still have a hill. Perhaps it's not as long as the one available to a 25-year-old, but it is still a hill. And here's a critical insight. Many people in their 50 seconds and 60 seconds are actually situated squarely within their peak earning years. They are making more money than ever before. The children have moved out of the house or are very close to it. The mortgage may be fully paid off, or nearly so. This grants you a powerful window, an unparalleled opportunity to really accelerate your savings. You can take that capital previously allocated to children's expenses and mortgage payments and redirect it aggressively into your future. But note this, you must actively commit to it. You must be intentional. You cannot simply hope that it will work out on its own. The mistakes I see people making. Well, let me outline some of the recurrent financial missteps I observe people making during these critical years, because I see these patterns repeat constantly. The first mistake, spending as if they were still 35. When you're young, you feel impervious. You assume you have infinite time, so you spend money freely on all manner of things. New vehicles, overly large houses, lavish vacations, expensive dining, and some of that is permissible when you're young and have 3 or 4 decades ahead to recoup those costs. But when you are 55 or 60, that luxury has vanished. Every dollar you spend now is a dollar that is not working for you, not compounding, not growing. Now, I am certainly not suggesting you must live like an ascetic monk. I am not saying you should avoid enjoying your life, but you must be judicious and smart about it. I drive a Cadillac. I've had it for years. People frequently ask me, Warren, why don't you drive a Ferrari or a Bentley? You can obviously afford it. Well, because I have no need for a Ferrari. The Cadillac performs the singular function of getting me where I need to go. And the substantial money I avoided spending on a Ferrari, that money is actively working for me, compounding, growing. That is the necessary mindset at this age. Not deprivation, just clarity. Clarity regarding what you genuinely need versus what you merely believe you need. The second mistake, attempting to hit home runs. When people realize they are trailing in their retirement savings or they perceive themselves to be behind, they often enter a state of panic. And when individuals panic, they inevitably make foolish choices. They start desperately searching for shortcuts, for quick wins. They hear about some fashionable stock, some cryptocurrency scheme, or some speculative investment promising to double their money within a year, and they plunge all their capital in. And almost invariably they lose. I have been investing professionally for more than 70 years now, and I can assure you of this fact. The people who achieve lasting wealth are not the ones wildly swinging for home runs. They are the ones who simply keep hitting singles, consistently, over and over. Boring investments, stable, predictable returns, consistency. That is the methodology that works. That is the one that has always worked. If you are 55 or 60 and your goal is to double your capital in the next year, stop. Just stop. Because you will not double it. You are far more likely to lose it. And at this age, you lack the recovery time to rebound from that kind of setback. What you should actually be doing. All right? So, what constructive steps should you be taking with your money during this stage of life? Well, here is my explicit recommendation, and this is the exact same advice I would give to my own children and my closest friends. First, establish absolute clarity on your expenses. Sit down with a pad and paper or a spreadsheet. If you prefer sophistication, and meticulously record every single expenditure you make in a month. Everything. The mortgage payment, the utility bills, the groceries, the insurance premiums, the subscriptions you forgot you had, everything, and then examine that list, truly examine it, and ask yourself, do I genuinely need this? Is this expenditure enhancing my life? Or am I just spending simply because I've grown accustomed to spending? You would be astonished by how much capital people allocate to things they don't even utilize. Gym memberships they never use. Streaming services they never watch. Car payments on a vehicle that sits idle in the garage. Eliminate that dead weight. Not because you are forced to, but because why would you continue paying for something that provides you with no benefit? Second, eliminate high-interest debt. If you carry credit card balances, car loans, personal loans, or anything that charges you an interest rate exceeding, say, 6 or 7%, pay that off as rapidly as you possibly can. Because, you see, that debt is compounding times against times you. It's compounding in the incorrect direction. And I assure you, you cannot out-invest high-interest debt. It is mathematically impossible. Third, maximize your retirement accounts. If your employer offers a 401 con, contribute the absolute maximum you can afford. If you are 50 or older, you are legally permitted to contribute even more. This is known as a catch-up contribution. And if you lack a 401, immediately open an IRA or a Roth IRA if you qualify. These specific accounts provide powerful tax advantages. They allow your money to grow unburdened by the government taking a piece every single year. That's essentially free money. You absolutely must take it. Fourth, invest in index funds. I have reiterated this millions of times, but I will state it one more time. For the overwhelming majority of people, the optimal investment vehicle is a low-cost S&P 500 index fund, not individual, specialized stocks, not cryptocurrency, not gold, not some opaque hedge fund that charges you 2% annually merely to underperform the rest of the market. Just a simple, unexciting, low-cost index fund, because over the long haul, over 10, 20, 30 years, that fund will steadily appreciate. Not every single year, certainly. Some years it will drop, but over time, the trend is up, and that consistent long-term growth is all you truly require. You see, I have indeed outperformed the market throughout my career, but I dedicated 70 years to acquiring the skills necessary to achieve that. I read complex financial statements purely for enjoyment. I comprehend businesses at a level that the vast majority of people simply do not possess. And even I advise people, just purchase the index fund, because it works. It has been proven for decades, and it will continue working. The real wealth is time. Now, this is where I want to pivot the conversation slightly, because everything I have just conveyed about money, about strategic investing, about conscientious saving, that is all genuinely important. But there is an asset that far surpasses it, something that took me far too long to fully appreciate, and that is time itself. When you are young, you operate under the illusion of endless time. You think, I will take that trip later. I will spend quality time with my family later. I will pursue my passions later. But later has a peculiar tendency to never actually arrive. I am 94 years old now, and I can tell you unequivocally that I would trade $1 billion for another 20 years of healthy living. Hell, I'd trade it for just another 10, but I cannot. No one can. Time is the one commodity that is absolutely non-refundable. You can always earn more money. You can launch a new career. You can repair almost any financial error, but you cannot manufacture more time. So, if you are currently in your 50 seconds or 60 seconds, you must give this concept serious thought. Really reflect on it. How much time do you realistically have left? Not to sound macabre, but practically speaking, how many good, healthy years remain? If you are 60, perhaps you have 20 or 25 years of robust health remaining. Maybe more if you are fortunate, maybe less. The crucial question is, how are you choosing to deploy those years? Are you grinding out 60 hours a week at a job you despise? Are you sacrificing your physical health, your relationships, your happiness, all in a relentless effort to stockpile a little extra capital? Because, let me share a tragic observation. I know individuals who have done exactly that, worked themselves to exhaustion, saved every spare penny, sacrificed nearly everything, and then they finally retire at 65 or 70 with a substantial nest egg, only to discover they are too tired to enjoy it, too sick, too physically worn out, or worse, they pass away a year or two later. And all that painstakingly saved money just transfers to their children, who squander it on unnecessary items. That is a profound tragedy. Therefore, this is my suggested approach. You must strike a balance, a careful balance between ensuring security for the future and truly living in the present, because you need both sides of that equation. You must be fiscally responsible. You must save. You must invest strategically, but you also have a moral imperative to live. What I do differently? People often ask me, Warren, if you could rewind and do it all again, what singular thing would you alter? And I consistently give the same response. I would allocate more time to the people I cherish. You see, I have been incredibly fortunate professionally. I have constructed a phenomenal company. I have generated significant wealth. I have achieved things that fill me with pride, but I've also spent an excessive amount of time working, reading financial literature, and obsessing over businesses and investments and all those complex logistical details. And some of that time was essential. Some of it was undeniably crucial, but some of it was not. On some of those nights, I remained late at the office. I could have gone home. I could have shared dinner with my wife. I could have played with my kids. On some of those weekends, I spent buried in annual reports. I could have taken my family on a short trip, attended a baseball game, or simply been emotionally present. And now those specific moments are irrevocably gone. I cannot recover them. My wife Susie passed away in 2004, and I reflect on her loss daily, every single day. And sometimes the thought grips me. I wish I had spent more time with her. Not because my love was insufficient, I loved her more than anything, but because I took our time for granted. I operated under the assumption that we would always have more time waiting for us, but we didn't. So, if you are in your 50 seconds or 60 seconds and you have people in your life whom you deeply love, dedicate your time to them now, not later. Now. Call your mother. Call your father. If they are still here, call them. Express your love. Spend time with your children, even if they are grown, even if they are busy. Make the strenuous effort. Spend quality time with your spouse, your partner, the person with whom you are navigating this life. Because, you see, the money holds no meaning if you are ultimately alone. The professional success is irrelevant if you have nobody with whom to share its rewards. What genuinely matters is connection, love, and relationships. That is the true substance that makes life worth living. Health is wealth. Now, here is another vital area I wish I had prioritized more diligently in my younger years: my physical health. You see, I have always consumed food well. I've always eaten like a 6-year-old, frankly. I adore hamburgers, Coca-Cola, ice cream, all the things the experts warn against. And I have managed to escape serious consequence mostly because I possess favorable genetics. My mother lived to 92, my father reached 83. But not everyone is blessed with such good fortune. And even with superior genes, the body inevitably begins to deteriorate. I have experienced a handful of health issues over the years: prostate cancer, polyps, other minor ailments, and each incident serves as a stark reminder of how fragile this entire arrangement is. So, if you are in your 50 seconds or 60 seconds, take uncompromising care of yourself. Please schedule regular doctor visits. Get your preventative checkups. If something feels amiss, do not disregard it. Do not postpone treatment. Exercise. You are not required to run marathons or transform into a competitive bodybuilder. Just move, walk, swim. Engage in some activity to maintain the strength of your physical frame, because you can accumulate all the money in the entire world, but if you are too ill to enjoy it, what is the ultimate benefit? I personally know individuals who retired with millions of dollars who cannot travel because their knees are ruined. They cannot play actively with their grandchildren because their back is in chronic pain. They can't execute the very activities they spent their lives dreaming of doing, and that is heartbreaking to witness. So, guard your body fiercely. It is the only one you will ever have. Social Security and pensions. All right, let's briefly address Social Security, because this is a topic that weighs heavily on the minds of many in their 50 seconds and 60 seconds. When is the ideal time to start claiming Social Security benefits? Should you claim early at 62? Should you defer until 70? Well, here is my perspective. It is entirely dependent upon your personal circumstances. If you are still employed, if your health is excellent, and if you do not require the immediate income, wait. Wait until 70, if it is financially feasible. Because every year you postpone claiming, your future benefit payment increases by roughly 8%. That is a guaranteed 8% return. You simply cannot find that yield anywhere else in the market. However, if your health is poor, if you require the immediate income stream, if you have strong reasons to believe you may not reach 80, then claim it earlier. Take it at 62 or whenever you need it, because Social Security exists for the purpose of helping you. It is meant to provide a floor of security. And if claiming it early grants you mental peace, provides you with the financial ability to retire, gives you a distinctly better quality of life, then proceed with it. There is no universally correct answer. It is a highly personal calculation. The same principle applies to pensions. If you are fortunate enough to possess a pension, and very few people do anymore, think meticulously about whether to accept the lump sum payout or the ongoing monthly payments. Generally, I recommend taking the monthly payments because, you see, that guarantees you an income stream for the rest of your life. You cannot outlive it. You cannot lose it in a stock market downturn. But if you are not healthy, or if you don't have a spouse who would benefit from the survivorship benefit, perhaps the lump sum makes more sense. Again, it hinges entirely on your individual situation. Simply think it through thoroughly. Consult a trusted financial advisor if necessary. Do not simply guess. The legacy you'll leave. Well, at 94, I spend a great deal of time contemplating legacy, what permanent mark I will leave behind once I am gone. And I am not talking about the money. Yes, I have formally pledged to donate 99% of my wealth. It will be channeled to charitable causes I passionately believe in, but that is not the legacy that occupies my thoughts most frequently. The legacy that truly matters to me is defined by how I treated the people around me, the values I instilled in my children, the example I consciously set. Did I live my life with unwavering integrity? Did I consistently honor my word? Did I successfully manage to make the world marginally better than I found it? That is the essence of what matters. That is what people will truly remember. And you see, if you are currently in your 50 seconds or 60 seconds, you are entering the age where you must begin contemplating this too. How do you ultimately wish to be remembered? Do you want your memory to be that of the person who worked 80 hours a week and was perpetually absent from their family? Or the person who was consistently present, always there when needed? Do you wish to be remembered as someone who hoarded every last penny, or someone who exhibited profound generosity, who assisted others, who genuinely made a positive difference? These are the definitive questions at the very end. And here's the encouraging part. It is not too late to redirect your legacy. It is not too late to consciously become the person you aspire to be. If your focus has been excessively centered on work, immediately refocus. Devote more time to your family. If you have been too financially reserved, become more generous. Donate to charity. Offer genuine assistance to a friend. Execute something truly meaningful with your capital. If you have made interpersonal mistakes, apologize sincerely. Make amends. Repair the relationships that hold the most value, because you still possess time, not infinite time, but enough. Enough to initiate change, enough to evolve, enough to leave behind precisely the legacy you desire. The power of gratitude. One of the most profound realizations I have gained across these 94 years is the transformative power of gratitude. I wake up every single morning and I feel grateful that I can still physically get out of bed, grateful that I retain the ability to go to work, grateful that I have my health, my friends, my family, grateful that I was born in America and lived during this unique time of opportunity. And I believe gratitude is a core secret to achieving happiness and deep contentment, because you can perpetually find grounds for complaint. Always. Irrespective of how wonderful your life is, there is inevitably something slightly wrong, something that could be improved. But if you fixate on that negative aspect, if you focus solely on what is missing from your life, you will never truly be happy. Never. Conversely, if you deliberately focus on what you possess, if you practice gratitude for the genuinely good things in your life, suddenly your entire perspective shifts. Suddenly, you realize you have enough. In fact, you have more than enough. So, if you are in your 50 seconds or 60 seconds and you find yourself stressed over money, stressed about the trajectory of your retirement, stressed about all the possessions you do not yet have, take a necessary step back, take a deep breath, and simply concentrate on what you times do times possess. Your health, your family, your friends, a roof over your head, food on your table. In the vast context of human history, that is an enormous amount. That is more than the vast majority of people who have ever lived have possessed. So, be grateful. Make gratitude a conscious daily practice. Now, I am not suggesting this to minimize your challenges. I am not saying you should cease striving for improvement or stop seeking better circumstances. I am simply insisting that you must not lose sight of what you already enjoy. Do not sacrifice the good that is present in pursuit of the perfect, because the perfect it does not exist. It never has. Well, I suppose this brings us to our conclusion here, and I just want to leave you with a couple of final thoughts. If you are in your 50 seconds or 60 seconds right now, you inhabit a position of unique strength. You have accumulated experience, you possess wisdom, you have learned from your past mistakes, or at least I sincerely hope you have. But critically, you also still have time. Not as much as you once did, but it is enough. Enough time to implement changes. Enough time to build something lasting. Enough time to live a genuinely good life. So, my primary encouragement to you is this: prioritize getting your financial house in impeccable order. This isn't because wealth is the ultimate goal, it absolutely isn't. Rather, it's because financial strain is arguably one of the most debilitating forms of stress, and these crucial years of your life should be shielded from that unnecessary anxiety. Therefore, commit to the tedious, often unglamorous work required to build true stability. Create a rigorous plan, save diligently, invest wisely, aggressively pay down outstanding debt, and always live comfortably within your established means. Because ultimately, that hard-won security doesn't just provide comfort, it is the fundamental precursor to freedom. It grants you the power, the crucial freedom to make choices that truly align with your values.